And they are off and running. Let us see what we have. We actually had Think Chair number 1 and Robbie number 2. Think Chair came a long time ago. Hopefully they're still hanging around. And I see we have many others. Familiar faces: KK, Dan Fulgham, Skydra Dienna, Israel, Ron Simpson, Four Horsemen. There's Diana and Jenny Pace as well, and K-Heads. Great to see you guys.
Oh my goodness, yes. Good to see everyone in the chat. It's been a chaotic few days. Don't know if you guys have felt it, but it has definitely been chaotic, and a lot of information out there right now kind of speaks to the chaos, so flying is just I don't know, I'm a little bit weary of flying right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not much of a person to fly. I've flown 25, 30 times, but I never feel comfortable, honestly. I just don't have wings. But, out of the body, it's a different thing. In the body,
I love to fly. I really do. I like to fly. I have some weird twisted thing inside of me when the plane hits the air pockets. I like it. I don't know. It's just really maybe because I know that I'm fine and I'm not going to die, so I just like it. But I do enjoy flying. I love the thrill. I'm kind of like that. I don't enjoy all the scary rides at the circus, but I like a few, and flying is one of them. Like horses, like going really fast on a horse. I love, and there's a few things that I enjoy doing that Mike does not.
She's the wild one. She is the wild one of the two of us. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being part of the family. It's been a blessing and a pleasure to be doing this for 9 years. And I think Wayne was celebrating his 12th year doing this. 12 years, that is just a wild thing. When I think about it, my longest job in the corporate world was right about 9 years, just under 10, I want to say. And thank you, 511 Wabash Avenue. Wabash Avenue. Man, that sounds so familiar. Brooklyn? But thank you so much for your support. Oh, okay. Information on diabetes. Yes, absolutely. You're welcome.
Yeah, there's, a lot of changes can be made, and it can be difficult in the beginning, but stick with it and just be very consistent, and you'll slowly see things start to change. So it just takes the body a minute. We have to look, how long did it take us to get in that situation? And that's going to take a minute to get out. But if you are able to be really strict, not everybody is, but if you can, the quicker that needle is going to move. But also keep in mind, the body needs time to adjust. So just be very forgiving of yourself and know that you are on a new path and there's a learning curve.
Yeah, I think, again, when you look to overcome certain health issues, to me, almost everything boils back to the same basics time and time again. Primarily looking at our diet. What are you taking in? And then, are we exercising enough and often enough too? And what type of exercise? And then how about the spiritual side of things too? There's so much out there. I think nature has a cure for everything. There's a cure in nature for everything. That's just my opinion. Again, we are not doctors. We are, again, not indoctrinated into the Rockefeller medicine system. But we sure do appreciate Mother Nature, as I look at a couple beautiful deer right outside the window here, enjoying some corn that I sent out there for them. And Regina's in the house, and Raven's in the house. Great to see you guys. Yeah, Christine just got back from a walk with Max. That's awesome. Let us take a look at the Schumann, and we see, we had quite a big whiteout period there yesterday, and then another one, not quite as big as the previous, and right now relatively calm, but that could change. And I was looking earlier at the space weather as well. It seems like, when you try to predict things, it can be very tricky. Here, what appeared to have been a shock passage was detected by the ACE spacecraft at 9:56 UTC. Possible that a CME observed leaving the sun on June 11th, arriving a little later than predicted. Solar wind speed increased. Again, the ability to predict the weather, why haven't we gotten that right yet? Especially when the weather in many people's minds is something that is kind of orchestrated, if you know what I mean.
And it has been for a very long time. I think we're real close to having all of everything break open about how much control things have been under for a very, 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 very long time. At the same time, I think, whoever is controlling that weather, they have an idea of the karma and the impact that it can bring to a whole planet. I think they ride the line of karma, just enough to be disruptive, but not so bad that they create bad karma for themselves, because I think those that do control the weather here, they need the planet too.
Absolutely. So, it was a big weekend. We had the big UFC fight. We had Steven Spielberg's big, Disclosure Day movie. How did it do? Well, $94 million box off opening. It says Steven Spielberg's devoted fans are turning out, but like Masters of the Universe, Mandalorian, and Grogu, that might not be enough. 50 plus years of filmmaking. Steven Spielberg still commands some box office drawing power. It got off to a solid start, domestic opening weekend of 44.5 million and a global launch of just under 94 million. It's not bad. Again, a lot of hype though, a lot of hype. And we'll see if it really does manifest like we've been wondering. Will it really push a lot of people that have had their minds made up and, maybe don't think there's any such thing as life out there besides here? Will it push some of them to reconsider? Will there be people, renouncing their religions and becoming atheists, or maybe becoming part of the, what's that thing? The claw, the religion of the claw,
On Dumb and Dumber, the molt.
The molt.
Molt.
Yeah, the molt, religion, the AI religion.
Dumb and Dumber, the guy, he was, no, it wasn't Dumb and Dumber, it was Liar Liar, where he was pretending to be the claw with his son, the claw. That keeps flashing in my head, and I'm just not sure why. It's weird.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why we're having all these airplane crashes. We've talked about this a lot, and there's been a ton of them. This is a B-52. When you hear a B-52 just crashed, first thing that comes to my mind is, I hope it's not carrying anything nuclear, because they can. That's the thing. These B-52s, they've been used for so many different things when you get down to it. They are workhorses, for sure, in the military. So we had a B-52 Stratofortress crashing in California near Edwards Air Force Base. The cause is unknown. That's the other thing. With all these crashes, how many times do we ever hear of anybody getting back to us with causes? You just don't. You get a lot of, it's under investigation, and then you never hear anything else about it. It seems to be part of a trend there. Dan, thank you so much for your support. As always, great to see you.
Thank you so much, Dan. We appreciate that. I saw in the chat that Israel saw the movie. He liked it. I know some people are saying they didn't, and that doesn't really mean much if people say, well, it wasn't a good movie, because I also saw with Three Body Problem that some people thought that was a bad movie too, and that was a movie that we just absolutely loved. Thank you so much. Sorry for the confusion with the address, Lane. I didn't know I could change my YT handle. Your friend from Ohio here. Hello, friend from Ohio. Good to see you. I'm so glad, and thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. It does mean a ton. When you see what the YouTube algorithm does, and it's not just us. I mean, it's just everybody. I'm seeing a lot of pretty well established channels, and then even new AI channels that pop up, and seems like they could have a 20-30,000 view video, and then the next one's 500. It's really perplexing the way these algorithms work. Do any of us know how the algorithms really work? There's classes you could take it. We've gone and done some YouTube seminar things where you're listening to tips and tricks and stuff, and I don't know if anybody really does know when you get down to it. But maybe the AI knows what the AI is doing. This right here, no word on casualties, not looking good. No, it was. There's not that much left, really. It's a mess. Again, Edwards Air Force Base in California, a B-52 crashing, as you could see there. What's going on? Remember, we just were talking about this like yesterday. This is a new video of a U.S. Marine Corps FA-18 Hornet crashing on the hillside near Rim Rock Lake, Washington. I think it's in the greater Yakima area. The pilot safely ejected from the aircraft before the crash. He was transported to the hospital. In a statement, the cause of the mishap is currently under investigation. To preserve the integrity of the investigation, no additional details are available. Yeah. And, this one, you can see it's coming down. Again, thankfully, he was able to eject. Wow. Boy, when I look at the woods at Washington State, it just so makes me want to take an extended camping trip. Oh, man, just that woods out there, it's so thick, Pacific Northwest. What is going on? And you know what? It's not just the U.S. This is Russia. This is a Tu-22. This is a strategic bomber. This is an Irkutsk, Russia. So, you could say this is kind of like the Russian equivalent, basically, of a B-52. Is there a tit for tat going on? I mean, is there some sort of electronics warfare? Are they trying out new weaponry to just see what airplanes they could knock out of the sky with each other? Is this like a little, boxing jab? Is this a little poking and prodding to test out defenses? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a mess. When I remote view to see what was going on in those cockpits right before anything, I see like the panels and whatnot. They're just kind of going blank. There's like no data making it into the cockpit, so they can't do anything. It's just things are frozen, is what I keep picking up. So I don't know if there's some type of energy wave or weaponry getting pointed at them, or the other thing, obviously it's something invisible that is going on. I really think it's something invisible. But the other thing I was picking up is I think there's a lot of portals right now. I think there's a poop ton of portals. And I think sometimes if airplanes get in the way of those portals, it could shut them down. I think that could maybe be playing a factor here. There's no way to really be positive. All I can do is go by my gut and what it's telling me right now. But whatever it is, I think it might be possibly going to be getting worse.
Yeah, and it's not just military. This was a crazy situation. November 2nd, 2013, two skydiving planes collided at 12,000 feet over Wisconsin while lining up a group jump. Skydivers bailed out within seconds. One plane landed, the other crashed. Amazingly, all 11 people survived. We were talking about how dangerous these skydiving planes can be, and maybe not having the same safety record that public transport has. Again, it's amazing. We do have angels watching us. We really, really do. We are protected, but you have to ask to receive. You have to invoke that protection. And also put up your boundaries energetically, because I think if people understood just how much they get interfered with on a regular basis, I think a lot of people would be totally stunned. We always joke about gremlins, like when you can't find your keys or you're looking for something. Where's my keys? Where's my phone? I just had it. And maybe you walked by a table and you didn't see that there. You walked by a table again, you didn't see it. And then finally you walk over by the table the third time and there it is. What the heck? I think we're going to learn things in the next few months, few years, that are going to explain a lot of the really weird, anomalous events that probably all of us have experienced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Regina, I see it's an invisible force, whether it be portals or some type of other thing hitting the controls in the plane, but a portal creating a wormhole so that other entities can more easily and readily be here. There could be more up there than we realize, and of course they're not marked, so planes don't know. And then when they go through them, it just changes everything, makes things really wonky. So it's it's really curious out there and a little bit concerning. How do you know? I mean, the answer is you just don't. What's going on in this world? Some things happening with the data centers. It sounds like just more and more people are getting shut down. People are trying to speak up. People are doing their part, but it's not helping. It's not helping. It just seems like it's being pushed through. I'm keeping an eye on Lake Mead and over in Arizona and Las Vegas. Not too much longer from now, and it says that the water can start getting shut off to the big resorts. So that's really concerning. That's really concerning because so many people rely on those resorts to feed their families for work. So what happens then?
As I watch the deer eat the bird food there. Yeah, she's hungry. She's jumping up in order to reach the bird feeders. Here you go with David Grush talking about seeing photos of UFO crash retrievals. We're talking about things crashing. The question comes up, if they're so advanced, why do they crash? Well, what if you have equally advanced adversaries trying to shoot you down? That explains that, right? Just even without technical glitches.
Yeah, there is that. You have the adversaries and they're causing problems too. So it's just, I think it's still very confusing out there right now because information is coming out without explanation.
Skydra Deanna says, my keys were hidden from me for at least half an hour. After finding them, it became obvious I missed a terrible accident right down the street. Yeah, I've had that type of thing happen before too. I've gotten the impulse to go right when I always go left. And as it turns out, it's like you miss an accident. This, we're talking about guardian angels, this is how that works. And sometimes, it could be negative and mischievous. Other times it could be literally life-saving.
Yeah, there is that. That's an alignment thing that I have seen when people are put into alignment. It might be something as simple as losing their keys for 10 minutes and then they realize, wow, I missed a crash. And because they were in alignment to not get in a crash, and sometimes when people do have a problem in life and there's a wreck or they're involved in an accident, they're out of alignment. Something is not quite right. So the universe works in really strange ways. And when you do energy work and patterning and alignment, it it removes the blocks so that everything in your life that may have been blocked previously will now come to you. So you can find things like, even a relationship, possibly a relationship, or, you can find a job, a good job, or, maybe you find a lost loved one. So energy work, working in the quantum field, removing blocks that are in the way, keeping you from achieving your highest potential here on this planet. So it is very interesting to watch energy function in that way. It's that unseen hand. And how often is it when, if you lose your keys, do you think it's a demon working against you, or is it the angels helping you out? Sometimes you don't know right away.
Mm-hmm. And Renee O'Leary, husband going in for heart surgery tomorrow. If you would share his first name, we'll again send positive energy his way. Again, it's just amazing what prayer and intention can do. We've witnessed many miracles. We know people that have had miracles too. And the guides have said on more than one occasion to us to stress to you guys to expect miracles at this point in time. Ted. Okay. Yes, definitely sending prayers and positive energy to Ted.
Absolutely. And we'll mention that at the end as well.
Yep. And thank you, Robbie, for reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up and hopefully help with the algorithms. Make sure you are subscribed and have the little bell notified. And again, we have the 3 channels here on YouTube, and we also have a Patreon, and we have a Ko-Fi, and we also are on Rumble, Brightian, and BitChute. So again, on all those different options. So this could be a little disconcerting. Stress along Southern California faults have reached the highest level in 1,000 years. Whoa, 1,000 years. More than 160 years after the magnitude 7.9 Fort Tejon earthquake, tectonic stress along Southern California's 2 dominant fault systems has reached record levels, according to a new study that reconstructs 1,000 years of earthquake activity across the southern San Andreas and San Jacinto faults. So, again, it seems to be overdue, realizing that the Great Cascadian Quake of 326 years ago could have been something as high as like a 9.5. I mean, that is enormous. Literally, it caused tsunamis that swept away entire native villages along the coastline. There's a lot of energy built up. A lot of you guys can sense it and feel it, and we've talked about this many times over the last 9 years. So researchers modeled 1,000 years of earthquake history along the San Andreas and San Jacinto faults, found that the stress has continued to build since the last major rupture to affect the wider Los Angeles region, which was all the way back in 1857. Oh, when we're getting back to that timeline, in those times, then, there were some serious events happening, and right around then, a little bit after, like the Civil War time. Remember the massive flooding that literally filled up the whole valley area of California? I mean, massive flooding. And, in case you don't know, there are places like Sacramento that are built on top of previous versions of Sacramento. Same thing up in Seattle. And, there's a lot of people that believe there was a mud flood or a series of mud flood events happening somewhere around 1800 or maybe a little bit farther in. The War of 1812. What was that really all about? I mean, there's so many different things we could go off on these different tangents. But suffice it to say that these quote-unquote natural disasters, they've been very consistently repeating in our history. We can see the evidence of them, but so many things have been washed away as far as the evidence. And there's Well, we could look to Gaza, for instance. What's left in Gaza? A lot of rubble. It wasn't that way just a couple of years ago. No, again, there's a lot of reasons why we don't know exactly what our history really is. At the same time, we do have data that can give us some clues. And right here, they're saying if you're in Southern California, if you're all the way on the West Coast, but not even just there, you need to pay attention and have a plan. As Dutch Sense would say, have an earthquake plan. Well, have a plan for pretty much everything. Share it with your family and your friends and your neighbors. It pretty much is go time for many major events. I've always felt that when the bigger activity happens in this war, again, the Polish psychic says that the Third World War literally started this February, with the attack on Iran. He had predicted that over a year prior, about a year and a half prior, that it would be February of 2026 that we would look back and say that's when the Third World War really started. Some would say maybe it was Ukraine, before that, and that was at the Pluto return time of the USA back in February of 2022. But anyway, we look at it, I felt that what we'll see when this third WW really kicks off and the primary nations are directly attacking each other instead of the secondary or proxy type of wars, that we would have the big ones here in the U.S. I think I was thinking and always felt, I've had these visions and dreams that it kind of all starts, it's like that song, it starts with an earthquake, the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine, because it means we're going to be ushering in something new. But of course, we don't want anybody to suffer. We don't want any lives endangered. So, again, just be aware.
Oh, yeah.
And so here you go. This is saying that the stress is at its highest point since 1857. So in other words, it's to be expected. It's to be expected that we may be going through. In 1811, 1812, guess what happened back then? It was the New Madrid. What else happened with the New Madrid? Well, there was a comet that was running, and many other things. Many people, again, think that this is some of the mud flood time. Well, it turns out right now, we're talking about the New Madrid, there's a little bit of a swarm going there. They're not big. Let's see. Yeah, they're all under 3, 2.2, 2.1. But you do have 8 right in the area. Again, Missouri, Tennessee, this junction, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, not too far north, and Missouri. This is really the center point of that massive series of quakes, because it was a series of quakes that happened in 1811, 1812. And again, it rang church bells in Boston. It was felt all the way down to Florida. Pretty much the entire East Coast shook at that point in time. Could we see something like that in our life?
We could. Things are really ramping up, looking pretty wild right now.
Yeah. And again, I think we are changing timelines constantly. I think timelines are always coming into focus as looking the most likely. And then when people change things, maybe it's just simply awakening enough people to what's going on, then the timelines start to fade out, other timelines come in. I think we've dodged a lot of bullets. I actually think we're doing much better than what many people maybe were expecting. I think we can navigate this apocalypse much better than what we have in prophecies. I don't think it has to be as bad as a lot of these prophecies say.
No, I think it's very different than what the prophecies say, actually, but we're probably going to find out.
And by the way, what do we got here? Look at this. Right off the coast of Cuba, a 4.9, just about 20 kilometers deep. Remember, we had that other one. Ooh, that was an unusual one. Let's see if it's showing up in the 30 days significant. Yeah, it's still there. It's right on top of, this is right on top of the 6.1. that happened previously, and they're showing 26 kilometers deep. So, yeah, very, very curious and interesting times we are in. So there was also one up in Maryland, which was a little bit unusual. Again, another Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico. Don't want to offend anybody there. Earthquake, we always make note of those. This one here, 2.4, 8 kilometers northeast of Bel Air North. This is in Maryland, north of Baltimore. 5 kilometers deep. Now, when I see 5 kilometers, I think there's probably a military base that's being expanded. So, again, we'll keep an eye out on this. And not too far from Aberdeen there and some other areas. Expect the unexpected. I think that's always good to be as prepared as possible. And, Cindy was going to share this about a particular volcano.
Oh, man. Okay, so I can't do it now.
Burdabunga.
Butterbunga.
Yeah. Burdabunga volcano, aviation color code raised to yellow. Intense earthquake swarm in Iceland. Iceland's growing, absolutely. And we've just, watched another big episode with Kilauea, too. And we have a 6.2 over in the Philippines off the coast of Mindanao. So we've seen a lot of activity. This is not far away from the other bigger one that we had out there. So a lot of earth movement, a lot of volcanoes going on, tons of tornadoes. I saw that Canada had its first confirmed EF3. And here we have 17 tornadoes confirmed across Illinois and Indiana, including 2 EF3s. It's just a mess out there with what we're seeing, these patterns. And also her Tornado Alley seems to be maybe shifting a little more towards the north. Illinois had a lot of tornadoes so far this year, and Kansas as well. And then we go into everything that's going on geopolitically. This is talking about the agreement that came out that might leave a lot of people perplexed. It seems that there was a deal. According to Israel Hayom, diplomatic officials have confirmed that Trump secretly authorized Qatar to transfer funds to Tehran in exchange for freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz and immunity from Iranian attacks. The arrangement was deliberately intended to ease global energy prices, with the U.S. Navy effectively turning a blind eye to the deal in contradiction of its declared policy. The secret approval, granted approximately 1 month ago, served as the groundwork for the memorandum of understanding now being forged with Iran. Qatar, fearing renewed Iranian attacks on its own facilities following a strike on one of its gas installations during the war, sought to secure quietly through the financial agreement. Some payments were disguised as tanker passage fees, with a credit line of up to $1 billion also opened for goods purchases through Qatar. There's a lot of people scratching their heads when it comes to this agreement. Trump details the Iran deal at the G7. No nukes. Conditional sanctions relief. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon under the new deal. The agreement includes strong policing and enforcement powers. Obama's JCPOA was a horrible deal that led towards a bomb. Past U.S. payments to Iran were failed bribe attempts. Sanctions relief will only happen if Iran complies with terms. Iran gets no money or relief just for signing the deal. A deal has been electronically signed by Iran's Ghalibaf, according to U.S. officials cited by CNBC. Opening the strait will take time due to mines, and to expect an increase in traffic in 1 to 2 weeks. Details are going to be released, and some of the details include billions of dollars. Billions of dollars, again, that the U.S. government is going to release to Iran Yeah, it's 300 billion. This is like, it's going to be again the taxpayers that pay for things. So why did we start this in the first place? Because ultimately, you and I are paying for it. I mean, if you are a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, there's some questions there.
There's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of people questioning Trump's sanity. They're questioning his health. There's one doctor that was being referenced that was saying that he's might not be in his right mind. Uh, this is, but then you also have those like here, Eric Doherty says, holy crap, President Trump, not even 24 hours after ending the Iran war, just spoke with Putin and Zelensky to try and end the Ukrainian war. The man is going all out for peace. Very good conversation yesterday with Zelensky and Putin. Interesting. I think not just the Polish psychic, but Tarot by Isabella, she had seen that Zelensky won't be in place come fall. He's going to not be in the equation anymore. Whether he disappears on the run somewhere to some island in the Caribbean, I don't know, or whether something happens to him. More than one gifted person has seen that there's going to be a big change. I feel there's going to be a massive change in July and August. I think it's going to be monumental. So what's going on here? I mean, again, if this is costing us billions and literally hundreds of billions, why did we do this in the first place? Again, we are not for this type of aggression, and we have a rather extreme view, probably in the minds of most people that actually still believe everything they see. And trust the mainstream media, because again, we are not left, and we're not really right, and we're not necessarily capitalists, but we're not communists, we're not socialists. We do not associate with any system that's in place at this time, because ultimately, I feel that it's basically a control system that again is making a certain class of people very, very wealthy and rich, at the expense of 99.9% of the population.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how they do it.
It is. Again, the word is parasites. So, yeah, the U.S. and Iran reached an interim agreement to reopen Strait of Hormuz on Sunday evening, just 30 minutes before New York futures open, with officials from both countries set to meet in Switzerland on Friday to formally sign the peace deal. Okay, I think everybody in this room probably has heard that phrase prophetically. When they say peace and safety, then it comes. Suddenly, disaster comes, war comes, some sort of strike happens. Is this that time? See, this is the thing that prophecy does. Once you know a prophecy and it's embedded in your mind, you look at the news and you're always wondering, is this that time?
Oh, I know. You got to ask, right? Right?
Yeah, again, whether it's the Bible or whether it's Nostradamus or Edgar Cayce or so many others, again, you start to wonder, is this what that was talking about? And it's pre-programming in many cases. It is pre-programming. I do think people get visions, though, for the purpose of knowing what a possible timeline is. So the hope is that we can shift that timeline if the prophecy is what we would perceive of as negative. Benjamin Netanyahu says he will not comply with President Trump's peace deal with Iran. And he'll strike Iran and Lebanon whenever he wants to. That's just what he says. This person here, Shadow of Ezra, thinks that Netanyahu needs to be removed. I think that would be a wonderful idea. That's just my personal opinion here, just sharing. Again, I do not see this person as anything, having anything to do with peace, honestly. And then if there is one person that might feel even more negative than The last one we were looking at, it is this one. Oh my gosh, this Ben Gavir, the energy is just brutal. He says they must continue to demolish homes in southern Lebanon and continue to displace residents. What's going on in Lebanon is very much what we've seen go on in Gaza. And this person, power to the people here, he's an independent socialist. Again, we're not socialists, we're not communists, but not really capitalist either. Again, I think that the smaller the government, the better, because the less mind control is usually better to be able to see things clearly.
I agree.
Meanwhile, he says Netanyahu is killing peace. Israel won't withdraw from areas it seized in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza, despite the peace deal. In fact, there are more and more countries now. There's countries that literally have arrest warrants out for the leadership of Israel, and big organizations as well. They're becoming persona non grata in many places. Italy, for instance. The Polish psychic said he felt that 47 didn't want to do it, but was being forced to do it. And so he made the decision to do it because perhaps there's some information that he didn't want coming out, i.e., you get it, the mail that's really darkly covered, chocolate mail, right? Meanwhile, Israel's demanding the purchase of 40 Greek islands to serve as a private safe haven for Israelis that might end up wanting to go elsewhere. Well, this coincides with what we were talking about Albania and Jared Kushner. And then we also were talking about previously, as this particular post from Adrian Ramirez says, the subordination of Argentina to Israel is so obscene that the Argentines themselves found out through an Israeli channel that their president of the Chamber of Deputies went to sign documents behind Congress's back, and in the name of the Argentine state, again granting many thousands of acres to that country in the Middle East. By the way, one artifact here that is very important to many people was destroyed. This is the mausoleum of Simon Peter. Simon Peter, according to the legends, an apostle of Christ in the village of Shammah in southern Lebanon. It was almost 2,000 years old, and it was obliterated again. If we ever wondered, why don't we have good evidence of a higher technology, of amazing structures in the deep past, all we got to do is look to the Middle East right now.
I still don't get it. Someplace like Israel, in such an ancient place with an ancient story, why do they have names like Simon and Peter and Paul, Thomas? I'll never get it. I just won't.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that just don't add up. Meanwhile, Belfast, after the riots triggered by violence, again, from the locals getting tired of having people being attacked. And yet what's happening again in the UK and in Ireland, Northern Ireland, is that you have people being arrested for speaking out against the atrocities. It's the ones speaking out against the atrocities that are getting arrested instead of those that actually are doing the atrocities.
I agree.
And they're actually trying to come after people from other countries. And they're actually trying to shut down different channels. Again, the censorship, the complete Orwellian Big Brotherhood is right there in our face. It could not be any more obvious. I do think, in my mind, we are really into the thick of it right now. And probably the toughest times, let's hope that things will get better down the road and instead of worse. I just don't see it. I don't see them getting what they want. They're not going to shackle the entire world in an AI grid. They might get some, they will get a segment. And maybe that won't even last that long because it's all crumbling. We're seeing how these people that have been ruling, whether it's through elected office and, people are having their doubts about that, or through monarchies. The son of Norwegian crown princess found guilty of rape, sentenced to 4 years in prison after trial that gripped the country. Yeah, it seems that things run in the family in a lot of cases. Yeah, if you get the picture, it's really all coming out now. And then we have the words of Hillary. One of the Hillarys. This one feels like it might be completely robotic, honestly.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social.
Listen to that. Now, that's an honest statement. This is an honest statement.
And we lose total control.
That would be the best thing to happen for the entire planet. And it will, them losing total control.
And when I was watching her, this just hit me that it feels like a body with a talking head. It doesn't even feel like it's human. Like, the body seems like it's just sitting there. It's not really having much of a use. And the head has the purpose of making noise. And then the other vision I got is, what was that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mars? And they're in the airport, and then they run into this heavy set woman.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's what really struck me with this little clip here is weird.
We've all seen the clip, or maybe you haven't, of George Bush, the original President Bush, being fooled by his own, CIA agent or FBI. I forget if she was CIA or FBI. She was wearing, a mask and everything, and he thought she was somebody totally different till she took off the mask. That was, again, so long ago. I mean, we're going way back to the 80s. So you're talking a long period of time. They do have the ability to make a complete replica of Hillary that is completely robotic. I'm just saying. You never know that what you're looking at is actually the original person. In fact, when it comes to Hillary, just like with Biden, I don't think we're even close to the original. It feels like the original might have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
And the thing is, the world is waking up. This is changing. California Governor Gavin Newsome claims he's under federal investigation by the DOJ.
In days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees. Not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records. They're abusing the grand jury process, digging through years and years of random documents. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president. Because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit. Donald Trump is simply the most corrupt president in American history.
Again, they're all corrupt. That's a given. So, do you want to pick the corruption on the left or the right? They're all corrupt. Yeah, it's a mirror. I mean, they're all corrupt. And, that all we've had is basically constantly trying to figure out what's the lesser of two evils. How about no evil? And again, the whole system has to change.
Yeah, I mean, for him to say that Donald Trump is corrupt, it's just, to me, he just might as well put a big old mirror right in front of his face and say the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, he's not even that. He's not really even that intelligent, really, when you look at it. He even made jokes about not being that intelligent. No, they just have to have a certain persona. They just have to be able to act. That's the reality. But what is this pointing to? Again, I felt that when things hit, when the war expands, if it's able to expand, because again, I think that they're not getting what they want. People are not biting. We've maybe nibbled the bait and started to get hooked in the past, and we're not going to do that again. So I think they're having a hard time really getting people to believe them at all on both sides. It's growing. It is growing. I mean, sure, could be 50% of the people out there that are still completely blind and ready to walk off a cliff. But we're making a ton of progress. And this is the thing where we have to keep going and putting our own necks on the line, so to speak, by speaking up, because that's how we're going to get change. If we just keep it to ourselves, it's going to take longer and longer, cost a lot more lives, really, in the bigger scheme of things, a lot more pain and suffering. The quicker we get to the point where we are no longer accepting the lies from either side, again, the better we'll be. We have to stand up, and we have to call it for what it is. Remember, 120 secret biolabs, 30 different countries. That's exactly what Putin and a lot of his generals were saying. And, again, they're dragging people out to be cannon fodder. This is, whether it's Ukraine and they're driving them off to draft them, or whether it's the UK and they're literally dragging them off for a tweet. It's got to stop. And the only way it stops is when people make it stop. That's really the case.
I think we have to watch where we spend our money. The entertainment business is huge and people love it, and they spend a ton of money just to watch the games, the fights, the ball, all the things. I mean, I think that is a big part that's holding everything together.
Yeah, we got to do things different, because no violent revolution ever led to a lasting peace. In fact, it just creates more animosity. It creates more hatred. It lowers the frequency and the vibration. And really the key to this is us going up in frequency and vibration.
Indeed.
That's the key. When we don't fall into being like them, when we rise above and we come up with new ideas, new systems, and create alternatives. Scientists create neurobots, living machines with their own nervous systems. Neurobots are xenobots with neurons, show self-organized nervous systems, enhance behaviors, revealing new insights on how biology builds functional structures. So back in 2020, researchers at Tufts University developed tiny living structures known as xenobots. We know a xeno. Using frog cells. These microscopic organisms could move through water, repair themselves, and even gather loose cells to form new xenobots. Well, now they've made an upgraded version called neurobots that can take on different shapes and display new patterns of movement. There's a lot of stuff here that could be used for good. Yet when we look at the type of people that have been in charge, it always feels like it's going to take a dark sci-fi twist.
It does. It feels like there's like the creepy factor in all of this.
Yeah. Again, it starts with saying, you can't speak up against injustices, or we have to censor people when they actually catch on to what we're doing, is what they're saying. So, how about maybe creating technology that could literally override their own will? And that would make them more compliant, wouldn't it? If somebody's disagreeing with you and all you have to do is do a few keystrokes and the person will agree with you because there's technology in them that will override their ability to say no, that's really where we're heading.
It's pretty bad.
And, it's science fact. It's not science fiction. When you look at what they tell us about being good to the environment, we got to all go green. And we have water issues. We have droughts. We have all sorts of food issues going on. There is truly the potential for a big famine looming in a world that is just so abundant. It would be so abundant with a different system, one that actually did what it said and really cared about the world and everybody in it. when you look at these data centers, they just don't make any sense at all. Yes, they suck up water, 17.4 billion gallons annually in the U.S. And talking about the water, too, they want to run the water through their systems and then, I guess, give it back to us to use later. That sounds like a potential for very, very corrupted water.
And why do we get the leftovers?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Yeah, it should absolutely. They burn electricity, 176 terawatt hours, 4% of all U.S. energy use yearly. Globally, they use 415 terawatt hours, which is more than that of all but only 10 countries. They're literally creating heat islands, literally warming the land around them, in some places by 16 degrees Fahrenheit. They eat up land. The average data center is the equivalent of 450 football fields. They're not long-term job producers. They're actually a job creation bust, and literally they may end up replacing a lot of people as far as the workforce goes. And they are the beating heart of the AI revolution, which is encroaching on all our lives and is at the expense of all of us. So why are they still moving so forward with this? Well, I mean, when you look at some of those numbers, like the Beagle numbers, change that B to a D. When you look at, again, that monolith that used to be there in Georgia, saying, boy, wouldn't it be nice if there's only 500 million people, or the Club of Rome saying 500 million to 1 billion is really all we can handle. If you had all this AI infrastructure in place, maybe that's all the people that would be needed to keep things running. And, that's something that the few have said in the past. And Koma Kaneko, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you so much, Como Kaneko. Good to see you.
Yes, always good to see you, brother. So you got 1,500 to 1,600 data centers in the planning, under construction, 4,000 already operating. 67% of these new plants are coming to rural America, where 87% of existing centers currently operate in urban zones. So they're going to take the nature away from people living in the country and turn it into, again, everything that we see in the urban areas, which again is pollution and all sorts of other toxic things.
Well, yeah, I mean, we really have to get each other's backs, and with family members that might be dealing with some of this, we're going to have their back too. Energetically, we're going to do what we do, and if anyone's going up against this, they're going to have some energetic pushback.
There are people out there, I've seen a lot of people out there speaking about the fact that it's like they're just trying to be able to replace us. Why would we want that? Why would we want that? And 99.9%. It's not us that want this. It's, again, what do you do when a population's waking up, when the population outnumbers the control system drastically? Well, if the population didn't outnumber the control system drastically, the control system would have a better chance of staying in control. Just seems kind of obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. This is so corrupt. This is so wrong. I know absolutely nothing about these data centers make any sense whatsoever. The only thing that does make sense, if you put it out there that there's going to be a giant culling. I mean, there's going to be a giant culling. Where are all the resources going to come from for people to drink water and eat food? How? What? It only makes sense if you put out that ugly, nasty thing out there that they have plans for us.
Yeah. So vampire planet, that's a key term too, vampire planet. Why do they always want to block out the sun? The sun boosts our immune system. Vitamin D deficiencies are rampant. Again, we've been told to lather up all the time, cover yourself up so you don't get any of that nasty sun. Well, the sun is, again, it's the bringer of life. And, there's so many different things that have been given to us that have been leading us, I think, astray. And people are waking up in droves, and we just got to do our best to nudge them along and let them see maybe, some new details that they haven't thought of before. And man, if somebody could come up with some really good substantial ideas for new systems, new ways of doing things in which the system cannot be corrupted by these parasites.
Oh, yeah, it's a mess.
And thank you so much, Bob Hawk. Thank you so much for your support as always, dear friend. This is Josh Hokett. If you don't know him, he is one of the most controversial people in the UFC, and he won his fight, and he had some words of wisdom.
Alex Pereira, I want a shama on your mama. And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
He finally said it. At least somebody finally said it.
At least he was smart enough to say it after the fact in the very last thing he said.
Yeah, Michael Robinson. This is just the reality. This is just the reality. And we can't... Michelle's been training. Did you see how good a shape Michelle's gotten into?
Hey, it's been great.
Yeah. Finally somebody just calls it for what it is. Like this. Think pink. Breast cancer awareness, right? Instead of adding pink ribbons on products every October that are full of cancer-causing ingredients, why don't you make them healthy instead of making them loaded with cancer-causing ingredients? A couple years ago, I was looking at chicken packages, and I noticed it seemed like all the big brands were all of a sudden adding in carrageenan. It was never in there before. Why did they all of a sudden start adding it? Lily of the Valley. If you get Lily of the Valley aloe juice to drink, if you don't get the organic, it has carrageenan in it. Why did they decide to do that? Carrageenan is another thing that is thought to potentially create cancer or feed cancer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just they're making it pretty clear.
Yeah, see, it's what's the word? Hypocrisy. It's very hypocritical.
Very, yeah.
And then here you have Joe Rogan went dead silent when NASA astrophysicist Michelle Thaler explained this to him. Quantum entanglement lets things be connected across the entire universe instantly. No distance matters, no time lag, and advanced aliens might be using it to travel without spaceships even. Two electrons can be entangled so deeply that if you flip one spin on one side of the galaxy, the other flips instantly. No signal, no delay, nothing. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, and he hated it. But experiments prove it's real. Then it got insane. If the Big Bang started with everything crammed together, aren't we all still quantum entangled with everything else all across the cosmos? Part of you in Andromeda right now, inside black holes. So, they talk out loud about this. And then they tie in three-body problem and interstellar level ideas. Fun stuff. But this is really the reality. Why does energy work if we are here and somebody is in Africa? It works because, again, quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we're working in the quantum. I mean, because we all take up the same space. So if I'm sitting here making a specific pattern, it doesn't matter that the person I'm working on is on the other side of the planet. That space is filled. We're both filling the same space.
When people say there couldn't be any way we'd ever reach any other civilizations, they're all too far away. You can't travel faster than the speed of light. Again, all this has been a distortion. Portals, wormholes. This is just a reality. there's really nothing inhibiting us. And then truly, when you know how to leave your body behind, then you could go anywhere at any time. And, there's remote viewers that have been trained by the CIA, the FBI, KGB, many other organizations that can see events in the distant past or even in the distant future. But the thing is, too, our reality is even more complicated than that. And yet, in some ways, I guess it's kind of simple. Time itself is an illusion. Can we go back and change the past? I think we can. In fact, I think people are doing it all the time. We've asked that question. Is this the first time that we've been in this room together on, say, June 15th, 2026? Or have we been here before many other times, and we're trying to tweak this reality to become the very, very best possible version?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I think so.
Oh, it's the stuff that people are going to be waking up to now. It's fascinating. And look at this. This was really kind of cool, too.
I'm going to show you the magnetic field of a ring magnet. From above.
Turn it up.
Wow, look at that. Here, I'm going to pass the ring magnet from the left underneath the ferrocell. Whoa. Okay. That is stinking cool. Because I rotate it, you can see a toroidal shape. Now, this is from the center of the magnet, as you see. Look at that. Wow. Now let's have a look from the edge. That is just amazing.
You see what this looks like? Your energy field looks like this too. We have our energy fields like a torus. Same thing with the Earth. Same thing really with the universe itself. And every universe is just simply one cell in something bigger. This is how our reality is really created. We are energy fields. We are energy. We're consciousness itself. And so you could take in the energy of the cosmos. You could draw in the energy of the Earth to boost your own immune system. This is what we do with Qigong, with other techniques too, pranic healing, Reiki, quantum touch. All these are just different labels for working with the life force, working with the energy, working with that which gives us the actual physical universe. Because again, the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, come out of what we might call the aether or the ether. And, this is just part of starting to understand. This is just part of understanding how it's all energy, it's all fields. As Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The system, the dark control matrix, is always trying to lower our vibration, always trying to get us to sink down, 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 lower, lower, lower. We have the opportunity now to rise up, to move into an all new, well, maybe not all new, but all new in our lifetime and many lifetimes possibility in this world. You're looking right there at something that's also called the flower of life. You've probably heard of the tree of life. Again, the tree of life with that shape. Again, the roots branching out and going wide, coming through the center column, and then the leaves and the branches branching out on the top, as above, so below, as within, so without. And then when we look at the energy fields, it is a reflection of the bigger reality. And so your consciousness, your energy, your frequency is everything. And it's so important to constantly be pushing your energy into higher frequencies.
Very important to do things like meditate and create your own patterns. Sanskrit mantras can do that, because the nervous system, if the nervous system is traumatized, it can create that energy field and make it into a state of chaos. And when that's in a state of chaos, guess what? That information is what's going out to the universe. So, things can not go very well for you sometimes if your energy field is chaotic. But having that patterning done is really, really good for you. Meditation to help bring the energy into alignment is good for you. The Sanskrit mantras are really helpful in bringing that pattern that you need to yourself. But yeah, I mean, the whole purpose and all of this trauma that they create is to really mess with that nervous system, because it's the nervous system that creates the pattern around you.
Jen and the Birds, Jen says, as a child, I could see a lot more of the other fields of energy. As I got older and lost that ability, or as I was put on certain medications, told I was stupid, weird, nobody liked me, etc., she lost the ability. You can regain and much more. It is so easy now compared to what it was 20 years ago to move energy. And that's really just because of where we are in the age. We're in a new yuga. We're in the Bronze Age now. The beginning portions, really kind of a transitioning period. But I could feel that everything has changed. It's changed dramatically. It is so easy to channel energy now compared to, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And most people now feel energy when we work on them. The vast majority of people, and we again have clients in Europe, we have clients in Asia, and we've worked on people everywhere. Doesn't matter if they're in New Zealand or if they're, in Dallas, doesn't matter at all. They could feel the energy when we send it. And this is something that everybody is going to be gaining more and more abilities in, as long as you work to be, again, the best version of yourself. When Jen said, too, talking about going on different medications, a side effect of a lot of those is really kind of similar to putting fluoride in the drinking water. It hampers the ability of the pineal gland to function. And so this is a key to understanding. You want to become the clearest, best version of yourself, which does take time.
Takes a while.
And it takes effort. It really does. It takes, again, eating well, having a mind-body-breath practice, and, again, just working on all the things we're always working on, which is advancing ourselves, elevating our frequency. To me, when you see these things, you can see there is a divine architect there. Absolutely. And there's no way that divine architect is a jealous, vindictive God. No, it's something that's full of compassion and love. This man right here is giving some coconut milk to this little bird in an eyedropper. That's love. That's compassion. When I look into the eyes of the chickens, it might sound crazy. I see intelligence. I see a soul, because, again, the same life force is animating them as is animating this body that I am inhabiting, or actually using as a vehicle for this human experience.
That's the way it goes.
So Cindy's going to give us some dings, and as always, Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. It is truly our right to be happy and free, and nothing should be inhibiting that. No one size ever fits all. You are a unique fractal of the one source of all. So, again, recognize and realize that you're an amazing being and you have incredible potential.
Okay, so really quick, before I do the dings, I just want to mention that Robbie's put together like a list on Reddit. He added that recipe that we talked about yesterday with the fudge sickles, and it's all organic. It's up there, and then already a book. So if Robbie sees something that he really likes and thinks is really cool, he's going to put it on that place, and it's going to be from EEARTS. So it should say that, and he should have a link there. I'm pretty sure he'll put a link in for me.
And I will add that to the links in the videos too.
Yeah, we can add it too. So just whatever Robbie thinks is other people need and they can find useful, it's going to be up there for you guys. Also, go to the prayer wall. The prayer wall has information on it, and we're going to be adding Robbie's helping me with the prayer wall and that other link because it's just too much for me to handle. So he's been very kind in stepping in, and all the mods, Jen, everybody, thank you for all your help. But I do want to put out there prayers for Ted, also Lori and Steve, Carrie, and Grace, and they all should also be on the prayer wall. So thank you again today for Dar and Dan and Bob, Komokaniko, and Robbie. Please don't forget to put that link in there, and then Mike is also going to add it. So here we go for some dings, you guys. Hang tight. Thank you so much for everyone keeping the vibes really high in chat. We appreciate that, and helping each other out and backing each other up when we need it. And we'll hopefully maybe do this again tomorrow if we can. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste, and thank you guys.
Okay. Namaste.